Hey everybody, I hope everybody's doing good. I'm sorry it's taken me a little bit longer to get another video out. I was on the road for about a little over 5 months, so I've been kind of busy since I've been home, but I wanted to get this video out. I decided to do one about Esau because I know for myself, for the longest time, I just thought I was German. I was like, well, that's my nationality, that's what I am, and I never thought I had any kind of ties to anybody in the Bible. And I think a lot of people do that same thing today. So, like I said, I just wanted to get this out here. I want to start back in Genesis chapter 7 and 8 with the flood. Now, we all know it was Noah and his sons Ham, Shem, and Japheth and their wives that survived the flood. Okay, so it was those 8 people that came out and repopulated the earth. So everybody that's on the earth today came from those 3 sons. Now, it's important to know who we are according to the Bible because this is not just a basic genealogy trace, but it's actually a life and death situation. Now, in the beginning of Genesis chapter 9, where the Most High told them to multiply, fill the earth, and when you look at Genesis chapter 10, is where you start seeing the generations being listed. Now, it's noteworthy because all the way from Genesis chapter 10 through 24, all these generations are being listed, but nobody is being described as far as how they look. But when you get to Esau being born in Genesis chapter 25 and verse 25, it said that he was red and hairy. So with him being described, he obviously had to look different than everybody else at that time. Basically what I want to do first, though, is just go ahead and start at the beginning. That's usually the best place to start. So we'll go to Genesis 25, and we'll start in verse 21. And it says, "And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived." So Rebekah was not able to get pregnant. So Isaac went and talked to the Lord, and the Lord listened to him, and she was able to conceive. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, "If it be so, why am I thus?" And she went to inquire of the Lord. So the children were fighting each other in the womb. And she wanted to know, what's going on? What's the deal? So she went to talk to the Most High. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now, when you think of twins, especially with identical twins, they look alike, they talk alike, they act alike, they're practically the same person. But the Most High was telling her there's 2 different types of people, okay, in your womb. And basically, he gave a prophecy here. He said that the elder would serve the younger. Now, back in those times, the oldest one was the one to get the birthright and the blessing. So, obviously, something was going to have to happen to make these roles be reversed. Verse 24 says, "And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau." So there's the first distinguishing mark of Esau. Okay, he was red and hairy. "After that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them." Now there's 2 things I want to point out. First of all, notice how Jacob was not described. Did not describe what he looked like. So obviously he looked like everybody else. And that part there where it says how he took hold of Esau's heel, now this is noteworthy, and I'll get into it a little bit more, but I just want to touch on it for just a second. The first thing you need to do is go into the Apocrypha, okay? What this is a compilation of books that have actually been taken out of the Bible, okay? When you go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, look at verses 8 and 9. "And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Now, like I said, I'm going to touch on that a little bit more, but I just wanted to go ahead and point that out because that is a significant event. Verse 27 says, "And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents." Okay, so here we have the second identifying mark of Esau was that he would be a cunning hunter, a man of the field. Now, when you look at people that hunt today, okay, it is a so-called white race. And there was a study that was done, and I believe it's africaresource.com. It said that the percentage of so-called African Americans, well, that's not the actual term for them, that hunt is only 1%. So that is a very, very small margin. Okay. Verse 28 says, "And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom." Now, this is where the events start turning, okay? For, like I said, this prophecy that the Most High foretold that the elder would serve the younger, this is where everything starts happening, all right? Now, what you have to understand, this is also another identifying mark of Esau, okay? Jacob was making this pottage or this stew, and it was red, so the meat wasn't done. Now, when you look at the so-called white race, when it comes to their steaks and their hamburgers and things, they like them rare, okay? They have a saying, you know, I want it mooing when it hits the plate. So basically, they don't even hardly want it cooked. And I have actually known people that have eaten raw hamburger, raw bacon, and they were all so-called white people. So, like I said, this is another identifying mark. And when it says his name was changed to Edom, Edom means red. 31 says, "And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright." Okay, now, you have a lot of people say, "Oh, Jacob deceived him, you know, he stole his birthright." No, he didn't. It says right there that he sold his birthright unto Jacob. That said at the end that he despised it. If he despised it, that means he hated it. Okay? But we also have the fourth identifying mark of Esau. Okay? He was so impatient that he did not even want to wait for that stew to be done. Okay? He could have waited maybe another 10 minutes. It would have been completely cooked. Everything would have been fine, but he wanted it right now. And like I've told you before, I drive a truck. Okay? And I'm going to say 99.999% of the people that cut me off and honk at me and flip me off because I'm going slow or I'm in their way or whatever, they're the so-called white race. They'll cut me off just to exit or cut me off just to turn. I need over and they won't let me over. They will literally put their lives at risk because they are so impatient. And so like I said, that's the fourth identifying mark. So, here so far we have 4 distinguishing marks of Esau. And these distinguishing marks would also be a sign of who his descendants would be.